We've talked from the start about, building and fostering a culture that thrives on competition, and that if you can't meet that challenge every day, if it's too much from you, you won't have a very good chance to be here long term. And when we drafted those guys, I think I can remember sitting up here, whatever it was, 4 months ago, and saying that, we'll see how they do physically, but I was convicted that they were the right kind of person that could survive in this culture. And I think 9 of those guys making that is a testament to that, because it was a hard training camp and it was a lot for all of them, but they showed up every day because they love to play and love to compete. And, they're the right kind of people we want to build this program on.
What's good, Raider Nation? Welcome back to Vegas Nation First and 10, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation, and my colleague Adam Hill, as he always does, joins us. And Adam covers the Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Vegas Nation, and also everything else here in Las Vegas. Just want to say thank you to all of our subscribers, all of our listeners. The numbers are going through the roof. We truly appreciate the support. And just as a reminder, this offer is still out there for you. Go to mylvrj.com/nation for a great offer of Raider coverage for 25 cents for the next 3 months. That's 25 cents for the next 3 months of coverage at vegasnation.com. A subscription to Vegas Nation for the next 3 months for 25 cents at mylvrj.com/nation. Just go to that site and you can get hooked up for the best coverage in town, the best Raider coverage in town and the world for that matter, for 25 cents for the next 3 months. Adam Hill, we just heard from John Spytek. He spoke last week, and he was talking specifically in that soundbite about the rookies. 9 of the 11 draft picks made the team. One other, a 10th, is now on the practice squad, Cam Miller, the quarterback from North Dakota State. And I wanted to talk today. I think this would be a great time before it starts getting real hot and heavy about what Raider Nation, what the Raiders can expect from this rookie class. And I guess, Adam, obviously it starts with Ashton Jeanty. I think Pro Football Focus just put out their projections for him, and I want to say it was over 1,600 yards of total offense. 10, I want to say 10 touchdowns, but maybe we could start right there. I think that sounds reasonable. I would go with around 1,200 to 1,300 yards rushing, and then make up the difference in the pass catching to get to about 1,600 yards, 1,700 yards. What do you think the Raiders can expect from Ashton Jeanty in his rookie year?
Yeah, I mean, when you draft a running back that high, you have to use them. And I don't think the Raiders have any intention of not using him. I think they're going to use him early and often. Obviously, there is the caveat, everybody knows about the workload last year at Boise State, and everybody knows what that usually means going forward. Now, Ashton Jeanty's a young guy. There's no guarantee he's going to get hurt or worn down. But typically, when a guy touches the ball that often, there are problems the next year. That kind of how it's kind of how it goes.
Wait, I'm gonna stop you right there because I get it. But I grew up in an era where guys like Eric Dickerson and Marcus Allen and Barry Sanders and Walter Payton, when guys carried the load in college, man, and then they went right into the NFL and they're Iron Men. I don't get it. I don't get why that's so much more the case now, especially when guys are carrying the ball far less than they used to do. Do you have any thoughts on that and reasons why that might be? And
I mean, the guys hitting you are bigger, faster, or stronger, right? I think that's part of it. I mean, Barry
should it be
Sanders
all
did.
relative? Shouldn't that be all relative though?
Sure. Barry Sanders did. I mean, well, when you go faster in a bigger car, right, the crash is more impactful. And that's true. That's just physics. I think that's part of it. I think part of it is, look, I mean, how were Eric Dickerson's knees at the end? I mean, Barry Sanders walked away early, right? I mean, like guys, yes, there's a lot of guys that had long careers and that happened. I don't know. It's just that's what data
It
tells
certainly
you
wasn't
for
the
most
next
part, right?
year. It certainly wasn't
No,
the next year, and
that's
that's
true.
my point.
It's just what data tells us now, and we
Yeah,
tend to see how that happens. I mean, again, there's no guarantees of anything. It's just something to think about, part of a concern. I'm not
for sure.
predicting an injury happens to Ashton Jeanty.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
just think it's part of the concern, right? When a guy carries the ball that many times, whether at the college level, the NFL level, that tends to happen. I also think Ashton Jeanty is pretty good at protecting himself, even though he runs people over. He understands at the end of the run, sometimes you gotta take care of yourself a little bit. So, but I think the question was, how is he going to fare in terms of stats? if we say that he's going to play the entire year, I think the 1600 is pretty accurate. I think
Yeah.
it's a good target to shoot for, and we've seen it. Like we haven't seen it that much in the preseason, but in training camp and practices, we can both tell you, Vinny. We can tell the listeners they throw to him a lot. They run him in routes a lot. Like he is a key part of the passing game. There's no question. So I think that's probably part of the plan, and I think that you can add those yards to it. And I think if he's on the field for as much as they want him to be, he's going to have a massive season. Now, the other side of that, kind of, and I think on a positive side for the Raiders is, I think Zamir White has forced himself into carries. Like, I don't think it's anything against Ashton Jeanty. I don't think it's anything, that was maybe part of the plan going in, but I think he's to the point where he's going to earn himself touches because he's just forcing their hand. He's been that good and that impressive this entire offseason. So that's a little bit something to think about too. I think that'll be really good for the health and the longevity of Ashton Jeanty to have a guy like Zamir White emerge in that way. So yeah, I mean, I think you can have those high expectations, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if he doesn't quite reach up to them, because I think there are other factors that could go into that.
Yeah, I concur. Real quick, and let's go back to this because you do bring up a good point. And I was just, playing a little bit of devil's advocate on why it might be different now compared to back then when guys' usage was just way. It feels like pitching nowadays.
Well, but it is. But back in those days, everybody walked uphill both ways to school in the snow.
No, no,
So
no. It wasn't that. But if you look at pitch
I
counts
know,
and innings,
I know,
I know,
I know.
and it was, and Nolan Ryan always made a great point. It's not that people didn't get weaker, over the years. We train people differently now
Yeah,
compared to if you trained a pitcher to do what Tom Seaver and Bob Gibson and those guys did back then, you could easily do that. They just don't want to do it, and so it's not because guys are softer now or they were tougher then. It's just how people were trained then compared to now, and maybe there's some common sense in doing it the way they do it now compared to when they did it before. Although I would say that something's being lost when you don't have the Tom Seavers and the Bob Gibsons and those types of pitchers, the Oral Hershiser's and the Dwight Goodens, guys that pitched so many innings. I think the fans are getting shortchanged, but that's a discussion for another day. I want to ask you because you did bring up a good point about the physicality that that Ashton runs with, and plus the usage that he had last year coming into his rookie season. We saw him leave the field with a stinger in one preseason game, and I'm pretty sure that in that Cardinals game, after there was a pretty tough hit that he absorbed early in that game, he went to the sidelines, and if I remember, maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong. I think they took his helmet from him and said, "Your night's over." Is there any concerns that maybe he runs a little bit too physical? And maybe needs to refrain from that, or just chat, or just pull it back just a little bit.
at times I think my point is I think he is smart about it. Like I did cover him a lot in college,
Yeah,
and yeah, he'll run somebody over, but then he knows when to do it, when not to. I think for the most part. I mean, we'll see how that works out at this level. You never know, but I think he's going to be pretty smart about it, pretty wise about it, especially you know depending on the guy, right? I mean, we talked to a couple coaches on the team. We talked to Pete Carroll about it. Obviously, we talked to some of the guys behind the scenes who said, hey, when that's a defensive back, go ahead and do it like you did against the 49ers. When it's a linebacker, don't. Like, and I think you do learn those lessons. The game of the Cardinals, I don't even know that anything necessarily happened to him. I think that was the coaching staff saying, hey, we've seen enough. Don't do that again. We didn't like that. We didn't love watching that. Don't
yeah,
do it again.
right.
I think
Especially in a
that was kind of
meaningless
part of it.
game.
Yeah, no need to do that. So
Right.
that's what I kind of felt about it. But yeah, I mean, I think Ashton Jeanty is going to have as long as he's on the field, is going to have an incredible rookie season. And I cannot, nobody's predicting that he gets hurt or anything like that. It's just that is to me the really biggest thing that could hold it back. I mean, I think they're going to be fine in terms of the offensive line. I think they're going to be fine in terms of the scheme. I think the only thing that can really hold it back is not being on the field. So that's
Yeah.
just the only thing to think about.
Let's stay on the offensive side of the ball with the rookie class. We'll go with their second round pick, Jack Bech, wide receiver from TCU, and fourth round pick, wide receiver from Tennessee, Dante Thornton. It feels like, as we sit here today, Dante Thornton is going to get a little bit more playing time than Jack Bech. We'll see how Jack, and that's not to say that Jack is far behind or didn't play well because when given opportunities, he looked fine. He's just playing behind Jacoby Myers, where I think there's more of a defined role this year for Dante Thornton because he does something different than every other wide receiver and brings something different than
Yeah.
every wide receiver on this team. Although I do wonder, and I want to get your thoughts on this, Amari Cooper, maybe that becomes a hybrid between Cooper and Dante Thornton, where they're one in two different players, but they
Yeah.
combined, cover every base that you possibly can cover from a wide receiver, from what they need from that wide receiver position.
Yeah, and I think Cooper also takes away from Trey Tucker.
Yeah.
I think he takes a little bit away from Thornton, a little bit away from Tucker. And I think certainly like I'm of the belief Amari Cooper hinders the development of Jack Besh, but I also am of the belief that there's a reason they did that. Like I don't think they thought Jack Besh was ready for a prominent role right now. I think that
Mhm.
they believe in him and his development and his future and everything else, but they weren't ready week one to say, hey, he can go on the field and give us what we need out of a wide receiver. And so that's why that move was made, in my opinion, I think. I don't think it had as much to do with the Jacoby Myers situation as some people may have suggested, even though it happened right at the same time, which was interesting. I mean, it might have been a case where they were already working on it. And as soon as that became kind of public, they already knew, but as soon as it became public, they're like, all right, just in case, let's finalize this. But it was down the road. Like they wouldn't have picked up the phone and said, hey, this is out. You want to sign here now? Like the process didn't start right then. That's kind of crazy. So
Correct.
I think this was more about Jack Besh to me, that he
Okay.
just wasn't quite there yet. And they bring him in. And yeah, I don't like it because I think it hinders his development. But at the same time, I'm not tasked with winning a game on Sunday. Like my thought would be, how do we build this team for the future? It's not my job to figure out how to win a game Sunday. It's a little different. So
Right.
not my job. Either way, it's my job to give my opinions on it. But um, yeah, I just feel like that was kind of the precipice. They said, all right, Bash isn't ready. What can we do? Let's go get a Marku.
Expectations for Dante Thornton.
I mean, we were talking about going into that last preseason game. They just kept trying to make fetch happen, right? That was my Mean
Mhm.
Girls reference, and they made it happen. And that last preseason game, it was an incredible catch. That's kind of what we saw from him early in OTAs, and kind of what separated him and made him into what projects to be a starter on this team. So I think they're going to continue to try to get deep balls to him. I think they're going to try to use him in that way, and I think that they believe he can do that on a pretty regular basis.
Couple of more guys offensively on the 53-man roster. I think the Raiders would be delighted if Charles Grant and Caleb Rogers are red shirts.
So if they don't play a snap all season,
Right, exactly. And that'll mean A, guys are staying healthy, and B, guys are earning their keep in terms of the starters. There's no need to make any kind of a change to bring in the rookies. I think in both cases, it suits the players well as well. They can spend this year developing, be there in case something were to happen, and just pour into their development. If I were to get it, categorize which one of those offensive linemen are a little bit further ahead in the game and probably could be counted on a little bit more to play, it would probably be Caleb Rogers. But I
yeah.
think Charles Grant has a ton of potential as well. Your expectations and thoughts about Grant and Rogers.
Yeah, I think I've been pretty clear that Charles Grant is a guy I really, really like long term. But at the same time, I think you're absolutely right. Caleb Rogers is more ready right now. Of course, Caleb Rogers, I think, played 374 college games. So
Yeah.
something along those lines. Yeah, I mean, that's a little high. But I mean, he's a veteran. I mean, he has been around. He's played a lot of games, seen a lot of snaps at a high level. So, and Charles Grant, obviously, more of a developmental guy coming from. He's played a lot of games too, but it's at a lower level. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think Caleb Rogers is closer. I think Charles Grant may be better long term prospect, and I think they would be thrilled right now if you said that they don't play a snap all season long. Not that they don't love them and enjoy them, but they could sit there. That means the starting offensive line stays healthy. They can just develop and get ready. And I think you develop more in game situations, but I also don't know that they're ready to do that right now. So,
Right.
yeah, I think that would be a perfect scenario.
Yeah, speaking of guys I think the Raiders' actions are speaking loudly in this case. And I know Cam Miller's not on the 53-man roster, but the quarterback from North Dakota State will start this season on the practice squad. They just signed Jeff Driscoll, the free agent quarterback, 6, 7 year veteran. Who's now on the practice squad as well. I would imagine that if something were to happen to the backup or to Geno Smith, they feel more comfortable bringing Jeff Driscoll up to the
Yeah.
53-man roster at this point rather than Cam Miller. So what does this say about Cam Miller other than in my mind, another guy that's a long ways away, and the Raiders understand that, and they're not going to put him in a position where he's going to be in over his head or is not, is not ready for that moment. Just park yourself on the practice squad, get a bunch of as many reps as you possibly can down there, and just work it behind the scenes, and we'll see where we are next year in this whole process.
Yeah, I think there's no question. Look, I think Pete Carroll told us this himself. Like there's no there's no like trying to figure out the meaning, trying to figure out what they meant. When Pete Carroll was asked, what does Cam Miller need to be ready, to be, warranted to be your backup quarterback or a guy that you put in the game, he said a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was very clear. And I don't think there's I don't think there was any question about that. I think anybody that saw him play, there was some excitement after the first game, but going forward, I think you knew that he needed a little more seasoning and he needs some time. So yeah, I think that they went into the season potentially with him as a third quarterback, and they said, all right, might not even be comfortable there. So just let him play in the practice squad, let him run scout team, all those sorts of things, and bring in a guy that you'd be a little more comfortable with going to if you absolutely needed a third quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so flipping to the other side of the football of the field or the line of scrimmage, let's start with Darian Porter, the rookie cornerback from Iowa State, and I feel like Darian Porter was watching him today on special teams. The guy just flies around the football
Yeah.
field. So that's number one. Number two, I guess the depth chart comes out tomorrow. We're taping this on Monday night. So it'll be out tomorrow. And the first official depth chart. Who do you think is going to be at that perimeter cornerbacks position opposite
Stokes is one.
Stokes, yeah, opposite Stokes.
Stokes is one. I mean, I think Caillou probably.
Hmm.
I'm not convinced of that. I'm not certain of that.
Is that
I
because
would.
of his hamstring injury or because you still think Darian Porter has a shot to win this job?
I think that he is. I think that he has a shot. I think they would like him to at some point. I think they'd like him to earn his way out of that spot. But I just feel like Caillou has been the guy for a couple weeks, and again, he's been hurt, and we'll see what he actually does come Sunday. But I think he's probably earned that starting spot coming out of training camp. So I think that's where he'd go. Expectation for Darian Porter would be he'll play, he'll be on the field certainly, and he'll be a star on special teams. I think I was pretty clear about my favorite rep of any player on offense, defense, or special teams in all of training camp was his gunner rep against San Francisco.
What do you
I
think?
mean,
Oh yeah,
go back and watch that. It was incredible. If anybody out there is fiending for football until Sunday or
yeah.
until Thursday, I guess with NFL, just go flip on that 49ers game. Watch that rep. I think it was the second quarter. I'm not sure, but just go watch that. Incredible.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you this, because I'm not ruling this out. A little bit of a rotation, perhaps, at that cornerback. I guess
Yep.
tomorrow, when we see the depth chart, if there's an or there, that might open the door for maybe a little bit of rotation, because I think the only way Darren Porter is going to be able to kind of play his way into that role as the starter is to give him an earnest opportunity to do it. I don't know that Pete Carroll and Patrick Graham share my thoughts or
Yeah.
agree. But I don't know if I would be shocked if come Sunday against the New England Patriots, we see Darian Porter and Caillou Blue Kelly sharing some first team reps.
Yeah. If Kyle's healthy, I don't know if they'll share. I mean, share could mean what, like 90-10 or 80-20, something like that. But I don't think it'll be 50-50. I think if Caillou won the job, he won the job. And maybe, potentially, I don't know, we'd see out of some of the other guys, maybe D. Cameron Richardson or something like that. But
Yeah.
I think it'll be Caillou taking the majority if he's healthy of first team reps.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. To the defensive line. I just did a breakdown on this defensive line. 11 defensive linemen that the Raiders kept this year on the 53-man roster. That's a lot. It tells me that they want to try to construct a rotation, a pretty lengthy rotation, and kind of come at people in waves. Now, for that to be effective, guys have to play well. And it's interesting looking at J.J. Pegues and Tonka Hemingway. Tonka Hemingway drafted out of South Carolina. J.J. Pegues out of Ole Miss. I felt like during training camp and certainly in the preseason, Tonka Hemingway, drafted ahead of J.J., was further along. He had a pretty good game to end the preseason. I want to say he had 7 or 9 quarterback pressures in his 80 some odd snaps during the preseason. Lined up in between the guard and tackle, over the tackle, a couple times outside the tackle. So he has a little bit of versatility. I think of the two rookie defensive linemen, Tonka has a chance to play earlier, more than maybe a JJ Begees. And I think JJ Begees is in that maybe that Charles Grant, Caleb Rogers situation where he'll get an opportunity, but it's not the end of the world if he also redshirts this year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that they're going to be part of the rotation.
Both?
I don't think when I say rotation, I mean it's a pretty deep rotation. I think there's a
Yeah.
lot, and it's not every guy's going to be active every week, and so maybe early in the year we don't even see active necessarily. But
You
I
think
think
JJ
that
McGee's, excuse me, you think Tonka's active on Sunday?
yeah, yeah,
I agree.
but I'm not sure about JJ.
Yeah,
Um,
same here.
so I think that's maybe where they go. But I think they both play at some point.
Mhm.
I think we both agree Tonka's a little bit ahead, but I think we're going to see a lot of bodies out there. I don't think where I thought corner is going to be you know, pretty heavily favored to one guy. I don't think that's going to be the case on the middle of the defensive line at all. I think you're going to see a lot of different bodies in there, and until somebody emerges and forces their way into being just the kind of the king of the reps, I don't think anybody's going to I think it's going to be a lot of even kind of splits.
Yep, I agree. And that brings us to Lindenham, Lindenberg,
Yeah,
the rookie linebacker from Minnesota. I'm leaning more toward Rogers and Pegues. I don't know if we see him dressing out against the New England Patriots. I'd be a little bit surprised if he did.
I
But
would be shocked.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready. Now I said that I was kind of surprised he's on the roster. There's something they like about him for sure.
They definitely like him. I can tell you that.
I haven't seen it either in practices or the preseason, but we saw it in college, right? I mean, I watching him in college, I did, I obviously watch a lot of Big Ten as somebody from Ann Arbor, Michigan, but watching him in college, you said that's a really good college player. I don't know if that translates to the NFL, and that's kind of how I felt so far. But he's a good football player,
Mhm.
and Pete Carroll's an old school football guy, and at heart, even though I think there's some new era thinking to John Spytek, and that's why I love him so much. I think that there's a little bit of old school in him too. He's a Big Ten guy also, right? He's from Big Ten country, played in the Big Ten at Michigan, and I think he still has those kind of roots, even though I think there's some new era to him. So I think there's something they just like about him, like, oh, that guy plays football well. We'll find a way. Uh, Again, haven't seen it necessarily, but I know that there's a good football player there that they're going to try to figure something out with.
All right, we're gonna take a quick break. When we get back, we're gonna talk about it's game week and how jazzed and fired up everyone in this building is about the season getting started in New England. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody: you guys asked for it, we delivered. The best Raiders coverage, bar none, over at Vegas Nation is going to come to you at a great discount. It's a thank you for all of your support. And we truly appreciate it. Go to mylvrj.com/nation. That's mylvrj.com/nation and get the next 3 months of Vegas Nation, a subscription to Vegas Nation for the next 3 months for a grand total of 25 cents. That's 97. That's a 97% savings compared to what it normally costs. And it's our way of thanking you to start this season and to start it off right. So just go to mylvrj.com/nation for a subscription to Vegas Nation for the next 3 months for 25 cents. And with that, we will be back on the other side.
I don't know how to measure how excited I am, but this has just been so much fun, really, to get into this with this club and this ownership, and with all the challenge that goes along with that, able to create our own roster with all that freedom that we got. Johnny and I really feel great about the process that we've gone through. We continue to compete to add to it. But it's worked out really well, and it represents the hard work that we put in. It represents the time. It represents the culture and philosophy that we're standing for. We added a lot of really physical, tough guys, tough-minded guys, really competitive people, and that's only going to make you better. So it's really been fun, and we get a couple days, and then we're ready to rock and roll into the game plan. So it's really good.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation. First and 10, your go-to for Raider news and analysis, brought to you by the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos STN Sports. All right, we just heard from Pete Carroll, Adam, and Pete Carroll's always fired up, let's face it, but he's extra fired up right now because he's back doing what he does, and that's game planning for an opponent. Remember, he sat out last year, not by his own choice.
Yeah.
It is what it is. But he's back into coaching. He's back into game planning. The Raiders practice had a practice this afternoon on Monday at 2:30. They got through that. They'll take tomorrow off, and they're back on a regular season schedule beginning Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They'll head out to Boston or wherever they're flying into. Could be Providence as well on Friday afternoon. I just want to gauge your excitement level of the fact that here we are. It's been a long off season. There's been a million stories. This thing went in a whole bunch of different directions. They almost had Matthew Stafford as their quarterback. They ended up with Geno Smith as their quarterback. Nobody saw that coming in January. Pete Carroll is their coach. Tom Brady is one of the new owners. John Spytek's the general manager. For crying out loud, Chip Kelly is coordinating the offense. Who could have seen that coming in January when the season ended? But here we are, Adam, and we made it through. And I'm fired up about this week and about what we're going to see on Sunday because I'm genuinely curious. I don't know what we're going to see on Sunday. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, anytime there's real football that actually matters, I get fired. I mean, I watched countless amount of college football games this week just on my phone. I was occupied doing some things, but I was literally on my phone the entire time watching college games. Anything I could watch, anything that matters on a football field is exciting. But I think this Raiders season, certainly more than others, I think there's a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement about it to see how it all plays out. Obviously, Pete Carroll, him coming back to coaching, Ashton Jeanty debuting, all those things I think are really exciting. And I'll say that I think the offense will be good. The defense might not be, but New England is not an explosive offense that's going to, really, really test them right away. So I think I think New England is going to be very, very improved. I think they're going to be much, much better than they were last year. I think they're favored in this game for a reason. So I think, obviously being at home is really the one. I think they're pretty even teams, but they're at home. I think they're going to be an improved team, but I don't think they're the team that's going to go out there and put up 42 on you, even if your defense isn't very good. So I think it's a nice way to ease into something that matters. You can game plan against a young quarterback. You can try to figure those things out a little bit and just see where you are defensively before you get into, playing Jaden Daniels in a couple weeks and trying to deal with that, or some of the other teams that are on the schedule. So I think it's an interesting test. It's a good test. It's an evenly matched game on the road. I think it'll be fun to watch, fun to cover, and look forward to bring all the information from New England back to the people here in Vegas.
No question about it. And a couple old familiar faces in New England. Robert Spillane just voted a team captain for the New England Patriots, the former Raiders linebacker for 2 years. And of course, Josh McDaniels is the offensive coordinator.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yep, absolutely. A fan favorite here with the Raiders. Not very much. That circumstance was
Josh McDaniels against Patrick Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. And knowing Josh, I know that he's not going to say it, but I'm sure he's got a little something that he would love to do to the Raiders on Sunday. We'll see if that comes to fruition. I'm sure there's some other guys that want to deny that from happening. We are going to be with you guys on Wednesday. We're going to have a midweek report, keying up the game. I think we're going to do something Friday, right, Adam? And then, of course, we're going to come to you guys immediately after the game or shortly after the game on Sunday to recap everything that we saw in New England. So we're not going anywhere. We were here for every practice during training camp. We love doing it, and we're going to continue, rolling it out. 3 days a week, sometimes maybe even 4 days a week. So keep a lookout for that.
If the people really demand it, what, like a Saturday night from the watching the Michigan-Oklahoma game from Providence?
I know what I'll be doing. I'm going to be watching. I'm going to try to stay up to watch UNLV against UCLA on Saturday night. Those East Coast kickoffs, 5 o'clock here at home, 8 o'clock back east. I'll never forget this. Last year in Baltimore, and you caught the red eye
Yeah.
that Saturday night. I'm watching a West Coast football game. It's past midnight, maybe 11:30, 12 midnight at my hotel in downtown Baltimore, and I just heard bang, 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 bang,
Yeah.
bang. Some dude got shot at the hotel right next door and killed, by the way. I still
Yeah.
don't know if they've ever found it. And that was at the Raiders hotel, by the way.
The
Right
Raiders
next to
team
the Raiders.
hotel. Yeah.
So let's hope that nothing like that happens tonight. But I just remember being up because I was watching a West Coast college football game
And
because
that was
we're nuts
you
like that.
yeah, you referenced it, but that was the Sphere UFC show,
Yes,
which I covered, and then jumped on a red eye, got to Baltimore Sunday morning, went right to the game, because that's how much I care about you, the fans, the viewers
exactly.
of Vegas Nation, and that great coverage you could get for just 25 cents for the next 3 months, Vinny.
And it's 25 cents not per month. It's
Yeah,
25 cents total for
total.
3 months. So all you have to do is go to mylvrj.com/nation, mylvrj.com/nation, and sign up for Vegas Nation Raiders coverage for the next 3 months for 25 cents. It's a no-brainer, as they say. Adam Hill, I want to say thank you for working a little extra time tonight. Know that what you're going through, all of our thoughts are with you. Thanks for making time for us as usual. Dominic Lavoie. Dominic Lavoie. All this time I thought it was Lavoie. It's Lavoie. I hope I said that correctly. My French needs a little bit of work. He's our great producer, keeping us on time, in line, all that good stuff. Dominic, thank you for everything that you do. Want to say thank you to the Las Vegas Review-Journal and Station Casinos, STN Sports, for all their great support, and to you, our listeners, our readers, however you digest what we do at Vegas Station and Las Vegas Review-Journal. Thank you. You're why we do this. Keep hanging with us. The season has just started. We're fired up. I know you guys are. So thank you for all the support. Until Wednesday, have a great Monday, have a great Tuesday, and we'll check back in with you guys on Wednesday.